Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and you are listening to LP TV. And basically, we just got done with another history convention or historic convention. So 2020 is a big year in LP history, being the first year we've done an online convention, the first time we've done a hybrid live and online convention. And blazing that path, we've had some amazing new additions to the Libertarian National Committee. And in this episode of LPTV, we're going to meet many of those new members of the LNC who are going to be doing amazing things over the next couple of years. So first off, we're going to meet my successor as Vice Chair, Ken Moelmann, who's been around the party for a long time and is one of the hardest working people I know. One of the progenitors of the CRM project, all-around fixture, pretty much everything libertarian you can think of. So I'm going to welcome Ken Moelmann. So how you doing, man?
Thanks, Alex. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I am relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, you made it through, and that was definitely a challenging convention. Having the different people in the hall, people remote. That was it was different, but we made it through. We got the business done that we absolutely needed to get completed.
Yeah, we did, and it really was all hands on deck. I don't think people appreciate how literally everyone who was there was working minute to minute. I know you were all over the place, getting so many different things done, making sure that everything was working, and I want to say super appreciation for all that. Dan, Karen, Richard Brown, and some people who joined us later on, like Data Logan, really contributed a lot to making sure that everything really went as good as possible under the circumstances.
Absolutely. It was extremely important that, we had a group of people behind the scenes. Obviously, the Convention Oversight Committee had to work overtime, and all of the folks there did a great job, but special props to Jim Turney, former national chair from the 80s, I think he said. But he doesn't look old enough to be the chair in the 80s unless he was 12, but that's a different story. The point being that, having him on the ground saved us. Because when we had that venue switch 10 days out, that was insane. And that definitely was what made it still happen. Jim being on the ground and being able to help with all the logistics on the ground. And then obviously Dan, the people on Zoom that were zoomed in, we tried a new technology that failed and we had a fallback plan. And that's always important as an IT person, always have a plan B, if not also a plan C, and we did, and that's why we were able to continue forward. But it is worthwhile to say thanks to TJ for giving Plan A a shot. I do think that in the future his product will be amazing for conventions. I was really impressed with the demos, and I don't exactly know what happened. I got a basic rundown, but TJ was exhausted, so I figured I'd let him sleep. But I'd like to see that app continue to be developed because it really would revolutionize and help, even just if you just do straight in-person conventions. And for that matter, we do have this virus that's still here. So come next spring, we may still have state parties that need to do hybrid conventions. So thankfully, Alex, you showed what it takes to lead a party through a hybrid convention. And so we can all work from that, at least as a guide point.
Yes, lessons learned. But yes, tell me how it feels to be vice chair, and what are you looking forward to focusing on doing now that you are VC?
Well, I mean, I have some big shoes to fill with you. I mean, dude, you're like the hero of the party right now. Dead serious. Like everybody's like, Alex Merced's the best, which I always knew that, but now everybody knows that. So my passion is internal growth, growing the party at the local levels. It's been that for a number of years. As you've alluded to, I joined the party in 1998. I got active in 2006, and I've been a state party chair. I've been a statewide candidate. I've been a campaign manager. I've done lots of different things in the party, and I really firmly believe that the best thing we can do is help our affiliates grow and get more of them out there so they can do the outreach on the ground. And so that is a really big focus of mine, on top of obviously continuing to streamline and make our operations more efficient regarding IT, which is what I do professionally. And I see there in the scroll they're putting up there for the donate link for the CRM project. And if you wouldn't mind, I would greatly appreciate if people would be willing to donate to this project. I'll take the moment to explain it since it's there on the scroll. Long story short, this is a project that takes the back end operations, the maintaining websites and maintaining membership lists and lead lists off, that takes that burden off of a county party or off of a state party, and lets those folks on the ground really focus on growing their parties, doing outreach, doing events, doing all the things that we need to do to reach more people, to find our people, and to convert people to our philosophy. We know it's the right philosophy. We know it's best. We need to convince more people of it. And so instead of being locked in a basement, working on a web server all weekend, I would much rather have that dedicated activist out helping, put the, and there's the, what, that's perfect, helping put the, that great activist out into the field and finding more people. So this is a great tool. It's really, some states got in early, some have just recently joined, and so everybody's kind of in a different developmental cycle. But the early states have seen results, and the states that are in the more recent join, at least their data is consolidated and clean, and it is something that will really help those states grow over time. And so if people are so inclined, I really would like to ask people to help with that project so that we can continue to grow the party, grow the movement, and so that more people can understand why our philosophy actually is the best philosophy. We know that. We just need to let the rest of the world know that.
100% agreed. And tell us a little bit, what are some of your short-term sort of concerns regarding the 2020 elections and the things that the national needs to do regarding the 2020 elections and how people can help out?
Oh, the biggest one right now is ballot access. I believe we have 14 states left. I have it on my board behind me here, and I think it's 14 states that we have left. And that is a huge effort. I was the Ballot Access Committee chair coming out of the 2016 convention. It is a lot of work. It is extremely stressful. And, there is a real, a couple of double whammies this year in particular. So last year, that whole map was gold by, just a little bit, down the road from now. So we had that whole map gold. This year, we've got a combination of the coronavirus, obviously, which is slowing down production in many places. And then we've got, what I'm hearing is there's a whole lot of petitions for issues still out there. So some states allow for issue petitioning. And so that's competing with both our available workforce and for people the places where we do the petitioning. So if somebody's already got a place and they're petitioning for whatever issue, it's typically, the petitioners don't like it when they're stacked on top of each other. So that is a project that definitely needs help. We want to see Joe Jorgensen on 50 plus DC at a minimum, and would definitely like to see people be willing to donate to that project. That is a very short-term project. We need to get that done. I think the earliest deadline is approximately 2 weeks from now. So we have a lot of work to do to get that knocked out in a very short period of time. Got it. Okay. So there it is on the scroll there. There's how to do it. So please help.
Yeah. So contribute to ballot access. You see it right down there. But I also just saw a question that said, how is the CRM different than Nation Builder? So for those who've used Nation Builder, how elaborate on that?
Well, there's two key differences. Number one, Nation Builder cost a fortune. So when a state party buys Nation Builder, they have it at the state party level. It's everything all the way across within the state. Whatever they put in there, everybody who's in there sees it. And if you wanted to do a segmentation of that data, so say a county party wanted to share data, you have to open a separate Nation Builder account for every single county party. And then you can join them back to the state party. But now you're paying, in the case of Kentucky, where we have 120 counties, you're talking about having 121 accounts with Nation Builder. That is not real. That's expensive and not going to happen. So the CRM, what we've done is we've actually made it so one product has everything in it, and then it's segmented by what state you're in, or if you're a county leader, what county you're in. And you see the same things. There's no separate system, no separate account per se. It's just your login. Each person has a login. And the other advantage is that we actually automatically import the data from the national party in. So those who have been in state party leadership know that once a month they do, or if they've moved to the CRM, they used to get a monthly spreadsheet encrypted spreadsheet from national, and then have to, keep that data somewhere. We're automatically keeping all that data for the state and county parties, and that way they can continue to work off the same data and continue to improve it. Sorry, my screensaver keeps coming on, that's why it keeps flashing. But that's why it is really nice, is that it's all there in one place. The other thing about Nation Builder, and I've heard rumors of this, I haven't personally seen it, is that when you put your data into Nation Builder, it may end up becoming something that is shared with other parties, right? Whether that's the Democrats, the Republicans, an independent, whoever buys that same data. I've heard rumors anyway that, and certainly it wouldn't surprise me that some of that data, some portion of it, is going to end up in the other folks' bins, and certainly, our goal is to increase liberty. Part of it, the other part is through the ballot box, which is why we are a party. Helping our political opponents who are against our philosophy is not a good means to that end. So keeping all of our data, our proprietary data in-house, is a critical goal. And obviously we've built this thing specific to us as well, right? So that's part of it too, is that the system we have built out, it is based on open source software, but we've added on modules and built it in a way that is focused on the Libertarian Party. So instead of being some generic one-size-fits-all, it's there. Also, for those who have used Nation Builder, I'm not a huge fan of their website building tools personally. Our project is based in WordPress, which is pretty much the de facto standard these days for any content management out there. So I think those are all huge benefits. Like I said, working better with National, making sure the data stays in-house, and in my opinion, a better web front end are all really good reasons why to use the CRM project.
Got it. And as you've
Alex, you're muted, buddy.
Oh, am I muted? Hello, can you hear me now?
Uh-oh. Oh, you know what? It's me.
Oh.
Hold on. That's
So I'll give Ken a moment to address his muting. But again, those are a couple really important projects that you guys should support, whether that is a CRM project, which you see right down there, because again, that's making information more portable within state, national, and local parties. That's going to allow it to be more affordable to keep state data portable among state, local, and national parties. But also make sure you also donate to ballot access. So let's get the ballot access link back up there. Okay, because again, we want to have 50 state ballot access for Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen. And for that, we're going to need to, that's going to mean lawsuits. That's going to mean petitioning. And that all requires funds. We can support those states. So that way, us states that have ballot access, to provide some support to those states that don't have ballot access, so that way we can get that liberty message out there. Because when people see in the ballot, they see that name, they see the Libertarian name party name right next to it. They're going to be like, what's that? And that's also going to add on to how we reach further out there. So not only in our campaigning, but also just being visible on the ballot. So
and it is
ballot access.
And that is important, Alex. My sister, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, randomly asked me, hey, you guys, are you going to have your candidate on all 50 states again? And I said, yeah, we should. She's like, good. My sister's a Republican. So, it matters, right? There are people out there that want to vote for our candidates. And it's extremely important that we give them that opportunity. If we want them to stay interested in our party, stay interested in our philosophy, to continue to learn more, we need to have our candidate on that ballot. And especially in states like mine, unfortunately, I'm in one of the 8 states that still has that stupid straight party ticket button. It is extraordinarily important for us to have a top of ticket when you have a candidate that at the top that's going to drive everything down, because we have that straight party ticket button. So, but obviously it's for everybody. So yeah, extremely important. Again, there's the link right there. Hey, I pointed the right way this time.
Yay!
For people that don't know, this is reverse. So it's like hard to wrap your brain around, like pointing in a mirror. Anyway.
No, I get it. The room you're in is upside down.
Yes.
But I just saw a question that someone was asking: what are other ways that they can get involved with the party outside of donating? What are some good suggestions?
Oh, there's tons of things to do. Listen, the very first step, if you want to get involved in your party, I would reach out to your state party, see if there is a county party there locally. And, you know, when I was state chair, I used to say I would rather have people doing the work than donating. But if you don't have the time to do the work, I'll certainly take your donation. There's so much to do. I mean, think about it, right? In our last election, we had two popular governors, former governors, both of which had been elected, and we reached 3-point-something%. That still means that we have to convince 96-point-something% of the public that we're right, or at least half of those people, so that we win. So we have a lot of work to do. I would call your county or your state, and there you go, right there. There's the get involved. I would call your state party or email your state party. Use this form. Tell them right here. It says, "Why are you interested in volunteering to help elect libertarians?" You know, put what you want to do right there, and there's all the little choices. Different people are different, right? So some people like to do canvassing, some people like to do phone banking, some people like to do front office, some people like to do back office. It's all important, and we need to do a lot more of all of it. So whatever you're interested in, believe me, we can find a job for you. That's, if you want to help, we will definitely be able to find a place where you can help. And even if for some reason it's a job that is filled in your state, you know, we live in the internet era, right? There's probably a neighboring state nearby that needs that help, right? So no matter what, if your state, for whatever reason, doesn't need that skill, they already have one. Yeah, there's David Valente right there, West Virginia, a neighbor of mine. You know, if you're interested, say you're in Virginia, right? And maybe Virginia already has whatever it is you're interested in doing done. Give David a call and see if he needs help in West Virginia, because it's a bordering state, right? There's lots to do everywhere. We need to grow the party all the way out and down to the county level and really make this thing work.
Okay. And one more question. How are you planning to put the vice back in vice chair?
Well, I live in Kentucky, so I do have bourbon, just saying. And I have the stuff that you can only really kind of get here. But in all honesty, I'm pretty boring other than drinking bourbon. I leave the vice up to the other folks in the party. I mean, hey, you know, whatever you want to do, as long as it makes you happy and you don't force anyone to participate, I'm good with it. But as former LNC member Sam Goldstein used to be labeled, I am boring and I am fully clothed. So it's but I definitely do enjoy bourbon, and anytime we get together and can get our libertarian family together, very happy to have share a good bourbon with my fellow libertarians.
Any recommendations as far as bourbon?
Well, for stuff that's easy to get, I'm a big fan of the Woodford Double Oaked. I'm a big fan of Eagle Rare, although their quality is a little shaky right now because they're too much demand for them to keep up. Thank you, Angela. I mean, it just really depends on what you like. As a friend of mine, and actually a number of my bourbon friends say, there is a bourbon out there that you will like. You've just got to find it. And so even my friend Dustin Nana, now the Region 3 rep, who doesn't drink brown liquors, does like Eagle Rare. It's all a matter of finding the one you like.
Got it. That's a libertarian message right there, you know.
Exactly. It is a libertarian message. It's like, hey, you drink whatever you like. And if you don't like any brown liquors at all, that's it. That's okay. There's clear liquors too. It's okay. I don't care. I don't judge. Do what makes you happy.
Love it. Thank you, Ken, so much. We'll probably bring you on a little bit later on. But again, congratulations on becoming vice chair.
Big shoes to fill. You did a great job. Seriously. Thank you so much. And Basil Hayden is wonderful. Yes. So somebody just chimed in on Basil Hayden. Yeah, nice. We'll talk again soon, Alex. Thanks.
Now, also, we brought in some new fresh faces on the at-large slate. So we're going to be bringing in Laura Ebke, Valerie Sarwark, and Erik Raudsep into the room. Now I'd like you guys each take a turn. Just tell us about sort of the journey to at-large. What are you excited to be involved in? And just all-around maybe little libertarian origin story. So let's start with Laura.
I probably have the longest story because and maybe the shortest. I joined the party 4 years ago in the wake of a disagreement with my governor. I was a state legislator at the time, and I really didn't have any particular desire to get involved in the organizational structure of the party. I was a legislator, lost my race 2 years later. Still didn't really have a real desire to get involved in the organizational structure. And over the course of the last year, I got to know some of the members of the LNC better. I actually, in my job, I was down in Kentucky and had a bourbon or two with Ken when I was down there, and we. I love the folks that are a part of the party, and in the last 3 or 4 months, I had started to contemplate the possibility, but really, my campaign was very short. I announced about 2.5 weeks ago, I guess, and was fortunate enough that the delegates decided that I offered something different and decided to elect me.
Awesome. I guess Valerie?
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Pretty good.
Getting some rest finally.
Yes.
I've been actually in the party. I've been a registered libertarian since 2009, I think, but active in the party since before that. And actually, I was raised a libertarian unknowingly. My mother was actually a Ronald Reagan style Republican, but was very pro-choice and everything kind of person. And I didn't realize it until much, much later that she actually was a libertarian. And she used to warn me about the people that hung out around the DMV trying to get you to sign their petitions. And that's what I'm doing right now, getting people to sign my petitions so that Joe can get on the ballot and the slate of New Hampshire folks that we have here. Yeah, it took me probably 3 months to decide that I was going to actually run for at-large. Didn't even tell my husband. I didn't really talk to anybody about it. I did some pros and cons and decided let's just do it. And it so happened that, Joe was chosen as the nominee, and that I think we can really capitalize on involving more women. And she was a stay-at-home mom. She's a professor. She's a hockey player. She does everything. And I think we can really capitalize on that now. Especially people wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton simply because she was a woman, but now we've got a woman who's significantly better. So I hope to work with everybody on the board and in states, counties, all the way down to the localist affiliates that you can find to really make sure that this party is making a home for women, parents, children, families. And I think that's all I have to say about that.
Got it. Also, I just want to say thank you for your work in the membership committee. So thank you. And then Erik.
Hey, how are you doing? So my libertarian story. I was working for a national campaign for the R's back in 2000. So you could probably guess who that was. But after the election, I started realizing I'm no longer a Republican. So right around 2001, I started my journey towards the libertarians. I lived in New York at the time. New York libertarians back in 2001 was, well, you have to understand New York politics. The Republicans in New York back in 2001, they are not that way now, but they were kind of moderate. And so the libertarians had to play much further out in the political field. And I wasn't ready to jump that far right off the bat. So when I eventually moved down to North Carolina in 2007, I met up with the Libertarian Party down here, and I've never looked back. So I've really been a libertarian since 2001, but officially joined the party in 2007. I've been active ever since. How did I start on my LNC run? Well, it's actually an interesting story unto itself. It was during the South Carolina State Convention, which was back in November of last year. I was lucky enough to I was having lunch with Vermin Supreme and Kim Ruff and several other individuals. And all of a sudden, Kim leaned over and said, so when are you going to run for the LNC or start getting involved nationally? And I started, just like Valerie, I started weighing the pros and cons. I knew that I was relatively well known in Region 5 and Region 2. And I knew that I had a lot of groundwork out throughout the rest of the country. Started working on that. Of course, COVID curtailed a lot of the conventions and travel plans that I had. But luckily, I was still able to get out my name, my accomplishments, my resume, and my ideas for the future. And today, here I am on the LNC. So it's been a wild ride. It's been about 7 months, but the success of being here is still, I don't think it's completely set in yet.
Yeah, no, I love how poetic things can be, because it was 4 years ago at the Orlando convention in 2016 was the first time I met you. Then the
Yes.
4 years being in Orlando, and you
Mhm.
joined the LNC. So let's go in reverse order this time. Biggest opportunities you see over the next 2 years, and biggest sort of challenges you see over the next 2 years. Erik.
So during my run, I talked a lot about candidate support and affiliate support, and I definitely want to be continued to involved in that. One of the other things that I'm really passionate about is getting the youth involved in the Libertarian Party. If you look at the Republicans, they've had college Republicans since 1892. The Young Dems have been around since 1932. It's a high time that we really make an official in-party Young Libs and make a push for that. So hopefully I can be part of that in the youth engagement if that continues.
Awesome. Valerie?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking, don't ask me to be on the youth board. Sorry, Erik. Yeah, so I know one of Dan's big goals as executive director is membership retention. And we go through this cycle pretty much every 4 years when we elect a presidential candidate, where membership increases drastically. And then within a year, it's tapering down. So I want to work on that. I want to work specifically with Dan and the rest of the board to focus on membership retention. I have a pretty good idea. I'm 2 days into this right now, so I'm not really sure if this is something that's been done, but we're going to, our first meeting is Sunday. And so we'll talk about it then. But definitely, like I keep beating into everybody's head, let's get some more moms, women, children, mothers, families, whatever your family makeup is, let's get them involved, because breed them for freedom, right? We've got 4 kids and we want them to know why we are doing this. Why is this important to us, and why should it be important to you, and why should it be important to your future? So, let's raise them all up like that. I
love that. Okay, awesome. I'll definitely be looking forward to Sunday's meeting. And then Laura.
Well, I agree with both of my colleagues. I started in politics as a teenage Republican back a long time ago, and was a state chair of the Teenage Republicans. And then my mother and my grandmothers were both very involved in the Republican Women. So, there's certainly a place in political parties for these kind of specialized organizations, and we just have to figure out what to call them. My real passion, if you will, is for candidate support. I'm especially supportive of the Frontier Project. I think that that we have some real opportunities in the Mountain West, and if we are successful in the Mountain West with some of those races, that it will spread into other areas, and we need to get some big wins, I think.
Oh, 100% agree. The Frontier Project is a very exciting project. Please go to frontier.lp.org, as you see right there at the bottom of the screen. Learn about the project, donate to the project. It has a lot of promise, and it's very exciting. Cool. And now also sort of, let's see here. I guess, what is you think the net in the short run? So first, 2020, what are your sort of LNC goals 2020 regarding the 2020 race, and what can the LNC do right now, or should be doing right now? Let's start with Valerie.
I'm sorry, I missed your question because my internet went out.
No worries. Basically, sort of short run for the LNC for 2020. What are things that you'd like to see the LNC focus on for the remainder of the year, or things that sort of are sort of the priority for the remainder of the year?
The remainder of the year is to capitalize on everybody who joins the party because of Joe. People are going to join the party because they think that they need to join the party to vote Libertarian. There's always people that are like that. Let's capitalize on those people and make them want to stick around. What message do we have for people who maybe weren't exactly libertarian, or maybe they thought they weren't libertarian. They just wanted to vote for Joe, or whatever the case may be for them joining the party. Let's get them to start bringing more people in. Hey, friend, I joined the party because of this, and it actually is really good. So we only have, what month is it even? August almost. So there's only like 4 or 5 more months left in the year. I can't do math right now. So yeah, that's what I think the big focus for the rest of the year is. And then how can we go into 2021 and set up for basically the next election with a bang?
Sounds good. And yeah, I can definitely sense that this year is just one of those crazy years, so everything's just moving super fast. But Laura?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a couple of exciting things that are happening. Certainly, our presidential race. I've seen bits and pieces today being talked about, and I don't know the details of it, but the Jorgensen campaign is planning to work with state parties and local parties to do some sort of a caravan across states. That's really exciting because I think that that's a great way to kind of get a bunch of people together, go from place to place, and share the message of our not just our candidate, but also of the party. So you might it's a very visible thing. I think the other thing from an LNC standpoint, we had a lot of disagreements kind of across the board, both sides or all sides of issues with respect to the convention. I think this is a good time for us to start building bridges and working together. So I'm hopeful that that we're going to be able to do that. As I've been on the LNC mail list for the last 48 hours, 24 hours, whatever it's been. I think that's there's a good chance that this is an LNC that'll be able to work well together and will kind of come together as a team.
Awesome. I love that. Erik?
Yeah, actually, a lot of what Laura and Valerie have been talking about, I 100% on board and totally agree. I love how we're already starting to come together and starting to work together and have similar goals. But also, like Ken said before, that we need to be really working on ballot access. Like Laura said before, we need to be working on the Frontier Project. These are 2 things that have a shelf life. They are for November. So I think that's probably our number 1 focus right now. And making sure that the Libertarian Party is an option in all 50 states, and some targeted races with the Frontier Project have the tools for success and to push them over the finish line. I think these are things that really need to happen and have very short-term optics on it.
Awesome. And I know you guys are probably won't decide this till Sunday, but is there any place you guys would prefer to have your first live in-person meeting at? We'll start with Erik.
First live in-person meeting. Hopefully something within a 10-hour drive of Durham, North Carolina. But no, I mean, one of the things that I'd really like to see is that we have 8 regions throughout the country. We have 8 LNC meetings. I'd like to see at least 1 LNC meeting in every single region so we can really make the best use of our time. And hopefully we can make it into an event locally as well, or for that region, and go from there.
Okay. Valerie?
I would definitely say DC. I'm partial to DC because my family's all there. So it'd be nice to bring the kids and leave them with them and get business done.
Very nice. Laura?
Well, I think we should be in the center of the United States in Omaha. Omaha would be perfect. But I think wherever it is, it'll be exciting to have us all together.
Yeah.
Although Omaha is really cool, I definitely had a really good time being there a few years ago. And then let's see here. Tell us a little bit about sort of where people can follow each of you specifically online, like whether it's like Facebook pages or other social media, so that way they can follow what's going on with the LNC. Let's start with Laura.
I think there we go. Laura Ebke LNC on Facebook. If you go Laura_Ebke, that's my Twitter page. And so either one of those places is great, and I'm always happy to hear from folks.
Okay, Valerie?
Okay, mine is Valerie for LNC. That was my campaign page, so I just left it like that. I am also on Twitter at Sarwark, but it's mostly me tweeting at the Real Housewives. I'm a huge Bravo addict. So I retweet Justin Amash and my husband, and Kyle Richards. So that's not as exciting, but I will be keeping up and explaining my votes and things on my Facebook page.
Very nice. Erik?
Yes, on Facebook is probably going to be the best place. You see the link right there. And I do have a Twitter page. I will be honest that I am very delinquent with Twitter, but that is at Erik Raudsep to follow me on Twitter. I promise to get better at putting up content and material on there too. But the bulk of everything will be on the Facebook, and just like Valerie, I'll be explaining a lot of my decision making and thought processes right at that location.
Awesome. Now I do want to ask you guys about some national issues. Before I do that, I've recently come into some more free time. So Valerie, what other shows do you recommend on Bravo?
Oh man, well, I love all the Real Housewives. I'm also really into 90 Day Fiance. I did a whole podcast with somebody. Liberty Dad, D.L. Cummings, I did a podcast, and he's like, I have a secret question at the end, and I was assuming it was going to be some kind of gotcha question, and it was like, what reality TV show would you recommend to me? And he had told me that his wife had just become an American citizen, and I was like, you got to watch 90 Day Fiance because it's about the K-1 visa process. So yeah, don't get me started, Alex. We'll sit here for the rest of the time, and I'll be talking about reality TV.
Agreed. I do love 90 Day Fiance is definitely
so good.
Yeah. Now, Laura, tell us a little bit about some of the occupational licensing things that are going on. I know that's certainly a passion for you, so I would like to know sort of what are sort of the things that are going on in that space.
Well, there's lots of things going on in the occupational licensing arena. Certainly, Nebraska, when I was in the state legislature, was one of the first states to pass an occupational licensing major reform act. A lot of states are doing things like universal recognition now. Universal recognition means that every state gets to, every state recognizes other states' licenses. Right now you have basically 50 different schemes where you might need 50 hours for a license, 50 hours of training in one state and 1,000 hours in another state for the same occupation. So this is something that we've seen in the last couple of months with the COVID crisis. A lot of governors have suspended occupational licensing requirements, or implemented essentially a universal recognition. And I think that's something that libertarians around the country ought to be looking at as a way to as an issue that they can grab hold of. Certainly candidates ought to take a look at it for state legislatures. Because if you don't need licensing, if you don't need licensing for health, safety, and welfare during a time when the health, safety, and welfare is supposedly at risk, then you probably don't need it the rest of the time either. So I think that and regulatory environment is ripe for slashing away at.
Got it. 100% agree. I mean, that's definitely one of those things that I think is one of the greatest barriers to sort of economic mobility for the average person. But I always love to give the body what it wants, and the body also wants to know what Erik and Laura watch on TV. So, Laura.
I'm kind of a nerd. I've been going back and watching all of the Star Trek series during the summer. Not the old ones, not the original series, but the Next Generation. And now I'm doing Enterprise, and I'll get through them all before the end of the year.
Awesome. Yes, I definitely enjoy some Star Trek here and there. Erik, go for it.
So I'm actually a cable cutter, so I have Netflix. Right now I'm watching The Umbrella Academy, and I am watching Iglesias, which is Fluffy's new show on Netflix.
So good. I've watched both those things. Love it. And then I also finished the Dracula show on Netflix, which is actually really good.
Yes, also really good.
Okay, and on that, let's talk about qualified immunity. So this is basically one of the biggest issues of the year. Sort of the issue of policing, of qualified immunity. I just want to give you guys each a moment to kind of just speak to your thoughts on that issue and sort of the LP's role in sort of moving this issue forward. Erik?
I can make that real simple. Nobody is above the law, and no one should have qualified immunity.
Okay, awesome. Valerie?
So I think the big thing is they need to stop. They need to tie this to police pensions. It should come out of your pension to when you get sued. Don't mess around. You don't get free lawyers to defend you against your own people. You stop shooting people, and we won't have this problem.
Okay, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the whole idea of qualified immunity is that somehow that the government is above the law and that those who work for the government are above the law, and that ought not be the case.
100% agreed. And and the funny thing is, like, a lot of people aren't aware sort of like the history of qualified immunity, in the sense that it's qualified immunity was a sort of a doctrine that existed because of a misinterpretation of common law in the past, and over something that really never existed in the past, but they thought they did, so they said there's precedence. It was never actually like a thing that was a law. It's definitely time to address that. And with that, sort of what other national issues or actually local issues in your area sort of really kind of move you and are things that you're excited to see your local parties or the national party kind of really sink their teeth into? Let's start with Valerie.
So New Hampshire is really weird, and we're an island for recreational marijuana, and so I think that's kind of silly that everyone in the state is driving to other states to buy their recreational marijuana. I just think it's something that live free or die, except, you don't have to wear a seatbelt, you don't have to wear a helmet, but you can't have any pot. That's something that I think needs to change here, because there's a big opioid crisis also in New Hampshire. And I think it would be a lot less if people had other means of, self-medicating in a safer way.
Got it. I didn't realize that. I always just thought everything was allowed in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Laura?
Well, I mean, I think that, again, I think the occupational licensing and the regulatory environment in Nebraska, we've got it looks like we're going to have both gambling, a pro-gambling or pro-casino bill, and a medical marijuana bill. We're kind of one of those dry places, even though we're next to Colorado. That we're going to have that on the ballot. I think that anything that allows folks to, exercise their own liberty in those areas makes sense. And, in both instances, the state wins too.
Oh, totally understood. And on the note of gambling, just so everyone, I know it's a little early on, but everyone always keep these dates on your calendar. In 2 years, we're going to be at the Golden Nugget in Reno, Nevada for the next national convention. So keep an eye on that. Erik?
So when I was working with the LPNC, there were some really great things coming out. First of all, North Carolina, we're constantly in the news about gerrymandering. The LPNC has actually been working very hard at ending gerrymandering and working with various organizations throughout the state. Another thing that's also really exciting coming up in North Carolina is what we're calling Free the Beer, which is alcohol distribution, especially regarding beer and wine. And there's a whole bunch of other things that, as far as local issues, that really can change a lot of the lives and how business is conducted in North Carolina for the positive.
Oh, that's right. North Carolina is an ABC state, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, got it. That was one of the first things I noticed when I was there last year. And Becky says hi, by the way. Yeah, okay, got it. And on that note, I'll let you guys, let's see here. I'll give you guys a moment for sort of freestyling. What is something that you would love to say to the people who are watching right now about either the LNC or anything you'd just kind of like to express at the moment? And I'll start with Erik.
Something I want to just come out and say, well, okay, let's take a look. I'm really excited about the LNC this year, or actually for the next 2 years. Everyone on there is a absolute professional. This is going to be an amazing LNC. Hopefully we see a lot of growth, not only in numbers of the party, but also for fundraising and activity and engagement throughout the country. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people and just making it happen with everyone else that I'm serving with. I am looking very much forward to the exciting things that are coming up.
Okay. Valerie?
I just I did a little live video before the elections on whatever day that was, Sunday. It's all a blur right now. But I did want to say thank you to everybody. I mean, I've been part of the national spotlight for 6 years, and everybody's been super nice and really gracious. And now that I'm actually in it, I'm really thankful, and I want to also say thank you for choosing me. And I hope that we can all do really good things together for the next 2 years and beyond.
Awesome, very awesome. Laura?
Well, absolutely. The thank yous are in order, especially given that I didn't send out any mailers or anything. But beyond that, I think that this is a great opportunity for libertarians all over the country. We have a member of Congress. We have a libertarian member of Congress for the first time ever. We can use that to raise our status over the next 6 months or whatever until after the election, and we can continue to use him. I think, and I believe that he will be very involved with the party as time goes on. So we should take advantage of that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Erik, I just wanted to see if you wanted to tell us a little bit about Outright Libertarians for anyone in the audience who might not be aware of it, because I know you Outright has had a big day today, and so let's get more people involved.
So Outright Libertarians, they are the GSM or LGBTQ outreach and inreach wing of the Libertarian Party. They are not a caucus. They are an educational group because they are a 501c4. So absolutely make sure you go to outrightusa.org, donate, show support for the community. Just because marriage rights have been secured throughout the country for GSM individuals or gender and sexual minorities doesn't mean the fight is over. There are still so many issues that are completely unequal in the United States, such as adoption rights and various other rights. It's an ongoing fight. The first battle is won, but the war is not. And libertarian solutions and libertarian values will provide the best solutions.
Got it. And then Valerie, I wanted to ask you about now that you guys have settled in New Hampshire, what's the homeschooling culture like in New Hampshire?
It's so good. It's so supportive. I came into New Hampshire not expecting to homeschool because everyone told me all New England public schools were fantastic, and they lied. And so we homeschooled unexpectedly this year. COVID really put a damper on things because it shut everything down. We did a lot of field trips, going to museums and, going on historical tours. There's so much history here, going to the beach and doing the science experiments. So it really put a damper on things, but they're so supportive here. It's so easy. It's so easy. There's barely any requirements. I mean, I guess that's probably not saying so much. But the community itself, which is if you need anything, call me. If you need anything, send me a text message, whatever. Anything that you ever needed, there was always somebody there to answer a question. And the first 2 months, I felt like a complete failure. I'm like, why am I not doing enough? And they're like, you're doing fine. And then, this year is finally over. And so we're taking it easy for the next couple months.
Got it. And then how does the COVID environment, since they're shutting down all the public schools and all the public school kids are not in those schools, does that create basically the kids who are being homeschooled, are they still basically in session while the other kids are not in session? Is that create a weird?
Yeah, basically we just kept going. We just kept going through everything and just business as usual, except for we had planned a field trip down to Boston to do this awesome historical walking tour to see Paul Revere's house, the North Church, and all this stuff. And it had 3 pizza restaurants on the stop. And so I was like, something for everyone. We'll get some pizza. We'll do this walking tour. And it was scheduled for April 4th or something. So we had to cancel that. And everyone's like, when are we going to go eat pizza? But yeah, we just kept going business as usual. And I don't think they noticed that we stopped.
Gotcha. Okay, that's super cool. Now, we're getting towards the end of the show. So what I want to do is I want to bring Ken back in. So Ken Moelmann, join us in, because here we're seeing a lot of the new faces on the LNC. And as we'll continue the conversation, but I just want to take a moment to say, one, thank you guys all for joining the LNC. And it's an amazing responsibility. It's going to be an amazing adventure. speaking from in. Right now, it's going to be awesome, and everyone's going to be on the same page. And all I ask is do your best to hold on to that. There'll be times that they're going to challenge that. But as long as you guys stick together, you guys are going to do amazing things. And yeah, just thank you. And with that, let's see if the audience has any questions. Okay. Let me sort through that. But let me ask Ken, because I didn't ask Ken yet. What have you been watching on TV?
So I am weird. The only thing I actually watch on TV typically is poker, which most people think is really weird, but I really enjoy it because it's both a game of skill, luck, involves human psychology. I really enjoy all of that piece of it. But my wife has informed me that the new Psych movie is out, launched on some new network or something. So we'll probably be watching that tonight.
Oh, very cool. So it was like I never actually watched the original show. Was it?
Oh,
it's
good? Fun. It's silly. It's family friendly silliness. It's good.
Got it. Okay, so we have a question from Jenna Atkins. So I guess each of you take a minute to talk about just sort of your thoughts on 2020, the COVID crisis, individual responses to the COVID crisis, the government response to the COVID crisis, and just sort of your feelings on the matter. I'll start with Laura.
Well, every state's going to have a little bit, every one of us is going to have a little different experience. In Nebraska, our governor has really never instituted any major mandates, but there's been a lot of talk about what you should do, what the best practices are. And I think that that's the way that really we ought to be doing things, that we ought to give people as much information as possible, that we ought to, try to inform them honestly, and then let people figure it out for themselves. I don't like the government mandates at all.
Got it. Okay. Erik?
Actually, a lot of the same right there. I think our medical community has actually kind of not disseminated information as efficiently or effectively as they could have. I think a lot of that is because the government has taken the spotlight and not allowed the medical community to actually be the forefront on that. I also am very much against the government mandates. I would have actually much appreciated if we could have followed a model much closer to Sweden, and they are already coming out of the war over there. So I think that should have been the model that we were following, or at least creating in this country.
Okay. Valerie?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Erik and Laura on bits and pieces there. I think if we had more truthful information right at the beginning, people would have made better decisions on their own. I don't agree with any mandates. Our governor, Sununu, has been pretty lenient with the things, and kind of is letting people or the cities and towns go on a town by town basis, because in Coas County, there was like 2 cases or something. So why would you mandate everything when your situations are different in different areas of the state? And right now Nashua has a mask mandate, but Manchester doesn't, and Nashua has more cases. So I mean, they just got more cases after the mask mandate. I think the approach by Sununu to just let the towns and cities figure out what they want to do instead of having one sweeping rule or law or mandate or whatever has been a little bit more effective. But again, with the more truthfulness, not government hiding things at the beginning, I think we all would have been better off and probably over it by now.
Awesome. Ken?
I have to agree with what all three said just before. And the main thing, Laura alluded to this earlier, is the deregulation that has occurred. And that's something that it just goes to show that we are, as adults and human beings, able to do things without a massive bureaucratic state. So I think that's a place where we definitely need to emphasize that message. But as far as the states are concerned, my state here in Kentucky, our state chair has actually been involved in suing away most of the mandates from on high because they're illogical. Kentucky's a state that has a very large city, Louisville, a medium-sized city, Lexington, and then a whole lot of rural areas and suburbs. And it can't be a one-size-fits-all solution. I live in a tiny county. Our issues here are very different than in Louisville. And so I do like that states that are taking that local approach. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that, this is just a general philosophy, that education, not regulation and not legislation, is the key to people making better decisions. So if we had had that better information, as Valerie noted, better information earlier, we could have better addressed this. And I think that is the biggest mistake, and the lesson to learn from all of this is more information, more education would have definitely helped us. And now we've learned through this process that we don't need all these mountains of regulation, that businesses can operate on their own. And perhaps, given that we're going to have economic repercussions of all this, and yes, definitely FDA go away, all the economic repercussions of this are going to be huge. Kentucky's at, I heard, 43% unemployment. We're going to need to have the ability to have people start up small businesses and not be burdened with paperwork and regulations in order to come out of this thing. So that's where I'm at with it all. And I'm hopeful that we're going to survive this thing both physically and economically.
Awesome. And I see another question from West Virginia Chair and also LNC member David Valente asking all of you, what is your favorite sport and why is it hockey? So I'm going to start with Laura.
Well, I'm from Nebraska. It's got to be football, right?
Nice. Valerie?
I have a tie between football and hockey. I mean, our last child was born during the Stanley Cup finals when the Caps won, and that's my team. So and now my football team doesn't have a name, so I don't know who to cheer for right now.
Erik?
I'm a New York Islanders fan through and through. And if you say you're an Islanders fan, you know you mean it, because it's been a long time since they've been on the Stanley Cup. But there's quite a few sports that I enjoy.
Awesome. Ken?
My favorites are college football. College football is the best football. I'm sorry, NFL. And also, I do love hockey. Hockey is so much fun in person, and I actually watch a lot of minor league hockey, and it is cheap, and it is the best time you're going to have for $10. I mean, it's amazing. Minor league hockey in person is awesome.
Awesome. And okay, so we're pretty much at the end of time, so I want to give you guys all some time to do two things. One, tell people where they can find you, and two, what are your recommendations for how people can get involved and help out the party wherever they're at? So Ken, I'll start with you.
All right. So my main takeaway from all this, everything I heard here today from all three of the new at-larges are all spot on. I mean, we need to be addressing all of these issues. And in that spirit, I think that coming out of convention, we resolved a lot of issues. That's what conventions do when there's disagreements. We make decisions as a body and we move forward. And so I'd like to see us come out of this unified. And as I think, Alex, you noted that we need to keep that unification. All of these issues, everything you've heard here today is important to me. It's probably important to many other libertarians. And we need to remember the bigger picture, that we are libertarians, that we need to work together to increase human liberty. And I really hope that we can do that. The other thing that I'm actually trying to do as a result of all this crazy COVID stuff is look at some sort of getting fit type thing, because it's a personal responsibility issue to keep yourself healthy. After seeing pictures of myself on stage, I was like, dear Lord, I need to get fit. And I'm hoping that others will join me in that, and that we can all get, take better care of ourselves, because, there's only so much of us out there, and if we all die, that would be bad. So you can follow me on Facebook. The link is right here. See, this backwards thing is really hard. But that is probably the best place to find me to communicate is Facebook. And you'll find an eclectic mix of whatever the heck I'm thinking about on that page. So,
Erik?
Yeah. Also, you can follow me on Facebook. The link is right here. I was actually practicing while Ken was talking, so that's why I didn't get fooled up by the backwards thing. But no, for people that are listening that are not in the LP yet, go to lp.org. You can find your state affiliate on there. From your state affiliate, find your local affiliate. Make sure you're getting involved at your local level. Remember, politics is local. That's where the boots meet the ground, or the rubber meets the ground. That's where it's really important. Get involved in your local affiliate. Donate to your state. Donate to the national. and we can make it all happen together.
Awesome. Laura?
Well, I'm not going to try to do the pointing thing because I'll probably mess it up. But you can certainly get hold of me at Laura Ebke LNC on Facebook, and I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime. We're going to try to do some happy hours via my Facebook page as well. So if you see that come up, be sure to join in, and we can do some virtual happy hours. I love what the future holds for our party, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Awesome. Valerie?
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Erik said. Oh, and my page is coming up. I'm going to echo what Erik said. Get involved locally. Politics is local. There it is. There's 900 state reps in New Hampshire, and all of them have a word to say about what they do in their government. You can do that too for the party. Get involved. Donate to your state, donate to your county, donate to your whatever local affiliate you have, and get involved. Be a part. If you want anything changed, you need to be a part of it because it doesn't just happen overnight.
Awesome. And again, thank you guys for coming on LPTV tonight. And I want to say thank you to all the new donors to the party over this year, this last week, throughout any time. It's all appreciated. But again, just a couple reminders that we have a couple projects that are really key right now, like ballot access, because again, we got 14 more states we got to secure ballot access. That means petitions, that means lawsuits, and in order to make sure that people have a choice when it comes to November. So that's lp.org, ballot access. Again, I appreciate everyone who has put in time, who has put in money, who has put in whatever they can towards this cause. Thank you guys. That was LPTV. We'll see you guys next time.